Welcome to lesson 6. Go ahead and complete your name, today's date, circle your team, and then get going with the appetizer. Go ahead and check your appetizer with mine, and we are going to get going and work a little bit more with XY tables and using rules to complete those tables. We are going to complete the following XY tables by using the rule that is already given to us. So if I look at this rule, first off, I want you to notice how it's been written. It doesn't just say plus 3. It doesn't just tell us times 9. It uses those variables, those letters, x and y, so that we know exactly which number to plug into where. So for our first XY table, looking at the x plus 3, we're going to plug in the x value for x to help us solve for the missing value of y. So simply 2 plus 3, the y value here is 5. On this next row, though, we're actually given the y value. So x plus 3 equals 7. So what does x have to be in order for this rule to be true? 4. For this next one, we're given the x value, so we just plug in x, 5 for x. 5 plus 3 is 8. For this last row, we are given the y value, so we can plug in 10 for y. So x plus 3 equals 10. So x has to be equal to 7. For this next one, reminder, just because this 9 and x are touching does not mean that we're just plugging in and making this 91, 92, 93, and 94. What this is actually telling us is to multiply. In algebra, because that x and multiplication sign look identical, sometimes they take that out, and we truly need to think of this problem as 9 times the x value equals y. I would really like when you start writing rules to use this way as well, where you're combining that number and the variable together so that we don't get confused of what's a multiplication sign and what's an x variable. Same thing, we're going to plug in the value. This time we're given all the x values, so we're just going to do some multiplication. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 4 is then 36. Go ahead and complete the bottom two on your own. Go ahead and check your tables with mine, and let's move on to main dish part 2. On main dish part 2, this time you're going to be given a table, and we have to determine the rule based off of the pattern we notice between the variables of x and y. We're not finding the rule with the pattern of just the x's, like how did I get from this one to this one, and this one to this one, and this one to this one. We're not finding the pattern between the y column, how I got to this one, and this one to this one, and this one to this one. What we're doing instead is we're finding that relationship between the x and y, and then finding that rule that works for every single time going down our entire xy table. So I'm looking at 0 to 12, and I'm thinking of a couple ways that I could get there. The first one that sticks out to me is I could add plus 12. So I'm going to check that rule of plus 12 with the rest of the boxes. 2 plus 12 is 14, 5 plus 12 is 17, 18 plus 12 is 20. So I know that my rule here is plus 12. Reminder though, we're pushing ourselves to write this as an algebraic expression, meaning we're going to use variables. So I'm going to put x plus 12 equals y. The directions also say to complete the missing boxes of the XY table, so you can choose any x variable that you want to, as long as you then follow the rule to give the correlating y variable. So I'm just going to put in 10 for this first one. 10 plus 12 then would be 22. So my variable for y is going to equal 22. Moving over to this next one, again, we're finding the relationship between the x and the y. So I could do plus 2, I could do times 2. So I got to check which one of those is the actual relationship between the x and y columns for this table. Okay, if I was to do 4 plus 2, I would get 6. So it's not going to be plus 2, but I can do times 2. Again, times 2, and again, times 2 seem to be the relationship here. So for this one, my rule is that times 2. Now, instead of doing x times 2, and those x's look very similar and could get my my answer confused, I'm going to put 2x equals y. And what that really stands for is 2 times the x variable equals y. Again, I'm going to fill in a example of this relationship at the bottom. This time, I'm just going to do, I'm going to do 9. I can plug in any number I want to. I don't need to follow any pattern that's going on. And then I'm going to use this relationship of 2 times 9 equals 18. Go ahead and cross out the bottom two tables. I accidentally just copy and pasted them and forgot to change them. But now you guys can go ahead and move on to your dessert.